father and mother and treat others as you wanted to be treated. And I just think those teachings are so inspiring. What Jesus said and how to live, um, especially Islam doesn't come close to that. Islam is the antithesis of that. But where I struggle with the Old Testament is, they wiped out the Canaanites. They did this, unalive this person. All these people were unalived. It's like it's hard for me to think that. And I'm gonna make everybody mad, but here we go. It's hard for me to think that the God Yahweh of the Old Testament is the same God, the Creator God, God the Father that Jesus spoke of, because the God the Father that Jesus spoke of in the New Testament was peace, love, and mercy. Can
Uh-huh.
you help me with
Sure.
is in the Old Testament?
I think it's akin to an American nowadays being anti-war, saying, "Oh, guns, we don't need that. Freedom of speech, we don't need that. The right to bear arms, to assemble as an organized militia, we don't need that." If they would read a book on the Revolutionary War, the people who wrote the Constitution were soldiers, went to war and killed many British in order to secure the freedoms that we have today. So it's hard for us to really relate to them. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have the luxuries that we have today to speak out. All the rights that we appreciate today, we have to pay tribute to the people who came before. And that's what I see with Christians in some way having an issue with how God acted in the Jewish Bible. The reason Jesus lived in Israel back then, Israel proper, even though it was occupied by the Romans, was because that land was conquered from the 7 Canaanite nations. He existed with an identity of an Israelite, a Judean, because that portion of Judah initially didn't belong to the Jews. So you're reading chronologically how they conquered the land. How could they have that ever entered Israel if the Israelites in the wilderness would have been talking like Jesus back then? What, they would have prayed for the Amalekites, they would have prayed for the Midianites and not gone to war. So you can in some way pull the rug up from under historically and say, like, only because I like what Jesus is saying now, but Jesus is living in a society that has been sensitized because of all the hard work and all the cruel things that the early Israelites had to do to their enemies. I don't see how someone fails not to make that connection.
I had never thought about it like that, and you just changed my entire outlook. And I'm being serious. I am not joking.